Meow 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 Cosmic Chronicles! The podcast where we follow two first-time readers, Justin and Sheta, and we chronicle their journey through Brand Sanderson's Cosmic series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling Warbreaker Chapters 11 through 16. So now it's time to throw it over to the host of Cosmic Chronicles. This is Joe! Thank you, Joe. Welcome, everyone, once again to Cosmic Chronicles. I am Joe, and I'm joined by Justin and Sheta.
Hi.
Howdy.
Yep, we're all still here, same as usual, and we're back for more of the show. One thing I will say is, before we get into the stuff, we did get an email from somebody, and they did, by their name's Alan. The email had a last name. I don't know if they want me to say it, so I won't say it. But they did say that they liked the questions at the beginning of our thing, and they sent a couple questions that we can ask.
Oh, sweet.
Oh,
I missed the questions. Alan, you're my hero.
God bless you, Alan.
So I've got a couple of them here, so I'll ask two of them this week. We'll start off. Let's go with favorite card games, collectible or otherwise.
Ooh, fun. See, well, I'm only really currently into One Piece. But yeah, One Piece, and then for collecting, maybe like the old Disney cards.
But that's not a game,
Well,
right?
does it say game or just cards?
Yeah, it said favorite card game, collectible or otherwise, right?
I mean, you could play a game
Yeah,
if you use the imagination, but
Yeah, so like collectible would be like the collectible card games. Otherwise, if some of your favorite games are like poker or blackjack or that sort.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Well, I also play One Piece, and I've gotten quite expert at Dead or Alive poker in Extreme Beach Volleyball. Those are my expertises.
Justin, you don't have to reveal everything about yourself.
That is the most poker I play. It won me a family poker tournament at camping one year just from learning from that game.
Dead or Alive poker is just draw poker. Wait, your family card game, was it draw poker or were they doing...
It was real poker.
Well, poker is many different games. Draw poker is one, otherwise there's Texas Hold'em's probably the much more popular version.
I believe
nowadays.
It was Texas Hold'em, if I recall. But I got to use my psychological mastery from reading what Ayane and Li Fang have in their hand to help me understand how to read my opponents well.
I remember there was one thing with the Dead or Alive game that I remember really annoyed me. Can't remember if it was something where it did not.
It's when Christy would play. Yeah, it was terrible. She never folds.
No, I think it's more like it might have been something where like it didn't split the pot or something. Or maybe I'm confusing it with Final Fantasy 13-2. I remember that one had a pretty bad poker game where it's the same rules, but there was something where it should be a winning hand or a splitting the pot, but instead you just straight up lose.
I did also like Poker Night at the Inventory, the second one with Brock Sampson and Ash and Sam and Max. Those ones were great too. So most of my poker knowledge comes from playing against fictional characters in video games. Otherwise, yes, One Piece would be my current game.
Yeah, I guess
never really got into Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, but I do like the aesthetic of them.
I know. For me, I played a lot of One Piece. I liked it a lot. Went to a bunch of like local, just like the weekly local tournaments and stuff like that. I've sort of stopped playing it because I got kind of annoyed. The rule, some of the cards that should have been banned did not get banned until way too long afterwards. So I just got kind of annoyed with how the gameplay of the game had gone to. But I did play it for a long time. Another card game I did play quite a bit, but it's been dead for like over a decade, was Versus System.
How could I forget Versus System? They got to bring that back. That was the best one ever.
I think that one was by Upper Deck. It was a card game where they had licenses for Marvel and DC, so you had all sorts of teams based around that. It's been so long since I played it, so I do not remember a lot of the rules exactly how it went for laying down like the field and stuff like that. But I remember having a lot of fun with it, and have my two decks I played the most were probably my King the Conqueror deck and my Squadron Supreme deck.
Arkham Inmates and JSA for me.
Team Superman. And if you ever went to a game and you found a Team Superman deck, that's probably my deck that I
No, Sheta, you
lost.
found your deck, remember? Like a few months ago, you found it randomly.
Yeah, I did find it.
Yeah, you were happy. Yeah, you forgot.
Yay.
And what
Okay,
do you
never
mean?
mind. I found it.
What do you mean if you ever went to a place and found a deck? We played at one place.
Well,
If you went to that unnamed place, then yes. Though
Well, it's
now,
not
obviously, Sheta is trying to scam you because she found that deck.
I
for
get
a
like
card
3
game that's
Team Superman decks sent to me in the mail.
for a card game that's long dead. So it's
Yes. Long dead, but if you want to find some of those old cards, some of them are really
Yeah,
expensive
it's
still,
really good.
annoyingly.
We should play some now that I found my deck.
I'd have to put together decks again. I don't remember how the rules are because I had to use my boxes I had those in to put my One Piece card decks in.
That sounds like a you problem, Joe.
It is. All right. And then for our second question today. This one, he said he's got to toss Sheeta a bone. So your favorite
no.
ships in any media.
Oh, God, no.
Wow. Any media. Okay. Hmm.
Well, Sheeta will
Oh
need time to
no.
think. So Justin, you go.
Oh, yeah, because I have those off the top of my head.
We do top 3 or?
Sure. Yeah, top 3. Let's just make it any favorite ships that are not the official couple.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm already doing. I
Because
hate normal ships.
it'd be real easy to say, well, let's just go, Homer and Marge, Naruto and Hinata. No, we need to go unofficial.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. All right, good.
Otherwise, it's basically cheating. Yep, Superman and Lois. That's my ship. How exciting.
Boring.
Well, now here's the question. What if it's a ship from the original Star Wars EU books, but those are no longer canon?
It's
Still
canon in your
canon in the
head.
EU because that's more canon than what they're putting out now, in my opinion.
All right. Sorry, Luke and Mara Jade. I cannot pick you then.
I just need one more.
Oh no.
This is your one time to shine, Sheta. You better be careful.
Okay. Now, are we going to allow ourselves to pick it? Say if it's a video game that has multiple choices. Does that count if you pick one of the choices from that?
As long as there's not a canon choice, I would count it.
All right. Good.
Oh no. It's too much pressure.
Are you just trying to narrow them down, or is it too much pressure to think of 3?
Well, I also feel there's so many. I can't pick a top 3. So I
Then
have
go
to pick.
5.
No. That'll be too much. So I just have to pick something that has good variety in all my different types of ships that I like.
Didn't expect to be blindsided by this.
I know.
You're going to have a lot of mumbling to cut out here, Joe.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
All right, I guess I got 3 okay ones.
All right. Go.
Me first?
Well, unless Justin's ready.
Yeah, you ready?
No.
Okay. All right, let me just go then. All right. I wouldn't say top 3, but they would be in my tops. Okay. We've already said in previous podcasts that I really like Daenerys and Jerome Mormont.
Oh, God, no. Oh, dear Lord.
And everyone keep in mind, this is book version where he's a lot creepier, not charming show version Ian Glenn.
Well, actually, Sheta, is it the book version or is it the show version?
I liked it in the book first, and I do prefer
You
it
liked
in the
it
book.
in the book first? Oh my God.
I actually don't like it in the show as much because he's too
What?
handsome. And also he's not like a bear. That was a huge
Oh
part
my
of it.
God. All right. Judge, let he who is without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah, let's hear yours next then.
They're not good.
Well, yeah. And then Joe, you got me thinking about video games, so I really like Garrus and Shepard in the Mass Effect video game. That's my favorite couple.
Female or male shepherd?
Female Shepard. Can you romance Garrus as a male?
No, but that doesn't stop you from shipping them.
Oh, that's true. Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
no. No, femme shep. Okay, and then the last one is Ruby and Aqua from Oshinoko. Okay, next.
Oh no.
Wait, they're twins.
Only
Only
biologically, Joe.
biologically.
Well, that one does get weird because they were not originally twins and then later
Mhm.
became twins.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which
it's
is
only
also kind of
sinful
weird.
in the eyes of God.
Well, would it be because God reincarnated them together?
Oh, we gotta
The
put a
reason
spoiler
why
warning.
humans are disgusted by incest is because biologically we have the potential to produce inbred children. If they have the same biology, then it would be, I think.
But then Oshinoko also gets weird because you could also theoretically ship Aqua and I, even though he liked her
Oh God,
before.
no!
Because he had a thing for her
Joe,
before.
you're fired.
But
You're
that
fired.
I did not say that's my ship. I did not say that.
Joe
But you
has
could.
officially said that is his ship.
Because he liked her before he became her child. Where if people have not read or watched Oshinoko, will be
Joe-
so confused as to what the hell we are talking about.
Joe, you are digging your hole deeper and deeper here.
I'm just eating
You're making
popcorn
Sheta
over
look
here.
normal.
Yeah.
No, I'm just explaining why that ship exists. It would make more sense if people watched or read it without any explanation. They have no idea how someone could have a crush on somebody before they became their child.
Oh, that was all three, right, Sheta?
Yep.
Oh, God. All right. Mine are going to be Luffy and Rebecca from One Piece. I don't want any of that Hancock crap. Luffy and Rebecca are the ones destined to be together. She's one of the only girls he ever truly cheered for and supported in that way, and she gave him food. All right? That's all I'm saying. Then I'm going to go with Elliot and Hitomi from Dead or Alive. I think they have a good charisma together. And though Elliot seems like he's got the potential to hook up with any girl in there, that's the one that I think would be the best one.
Wait,
And
Elliot, not Hayate?
No. Hayate and Kasumi are the ones who need to get together, Joe. Come on.
So
Anyways, before Joe can go any further, what's that?
Oh no, I want that on my list too.
They have it's my one-time allowance for that kind of weird shit. And my last one, Sheta, you don't need to elaborate on this one at all, would be Mary Margaret and Emma Swan. I always felt had a good connection together in Once Upon a Time. And that's one that makes perfect sense, Sheta. You do not need to elaborate on that.
Oh my. You are a fiend.
Oh. Alan, your question has brought out the worst in us.
I thought I would be the worst, but you two, oh my goodness.
I did not say anything. I have not said mine yet.
I shake my head.
I don't control what I think works. That's all I'm saying.
All right, I guess for me, so my ships from A Song of Ice and Fire will be Jon Snow and Val. I just like them. I think they're a great couple. And I know so many people, they keep saying, oh no, we want, just because like the two main characters, we want Jon and Daenerys together. Jon and Daenerys. It's like, no, fuck that. Jon and Val.
I agree.
That's the better one.
Remind me who Val is again.
Val's the, they call her the Wildling Princess. She was a Mance Rayder's wife's sister, who throughout Dance with Dragons, she kind of has a flirty relationship with Jon, possibly.
Is she a little older, or is she?
I don't think so.
Sheta, it's Game of Thrones. Of course she's not a little older.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, she's 12.
She did have a guy that she called her pet. Like, she did have a boyfriend who died climbing the wall.
Okay, yep, I remember now. Yes,
I
like them too.
And if people have not read the books, they will be confused because she was not in the show.
Wow. Yeah. Just read the books. Jeez. So.
Yeah, the show is terrible. I have done whatever I can to erase most of that from my memory.
And with the books, you don't have to worry about it having a bad ending because it will never be finished.
It will be finished, just not necessarily by George. It will be like a Wheel of Time.
Not if he has it in his will for them not to.
That will not stop the fanfic writers.
Oh, God. No. All right, another one. I guess I will go, let's go back and, is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? I will go with Hestia and Belle. Because even though that series is not done, I think it's pretty obvious that series is leading for Belle and Eyes. But to me, I really like Hestia and Belle together as a couple.
All right, but if it finishes and goes the other way, you have to go back and edit this because then you're breaking our rule
We have a rule?
of not doing ones that are officially canon.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And now the last one. I don't know if I want to say it because
Oh,
no, I won't do
God.
that. No, it's
Wait,
not that.
what?
It's a series that Sheta might watch, and I don't want to spoil the ending for her. So, instead, I'll just go with Persona 5 with the main character and Yoshizawa. I just feel like she has the best romance storyline with the main guy. They have a great chemistry together, and yeah, I enjoyed that one the most.
I'm sorry, Joe. All your options made too much sense.
Well, my backup one for Persona 5 is the school teacher. So,
All right, at least we're getting a little controversial
Wow.
there.
Okay, there we go. A little deviancy.
Yeah, little deviance.
and I guess also maybe Aqua before he died and I in Oshinoko. It gets a little weird after he becomes her child, but when he was just her doctor, it was better.
No
And he was
elaboration
still-
needed.
But he was still older than her. It's quite scandalous.
Yeah, well, she was also an idol that was pregnant. It's already
Yeah, but she was
scandalous.
only 16 years old.
Sheta, you cannot say that when you have Daenerys, who's 14, and Jorah, who's like 30-something.
It won't matter as much once they both get into their 30s. I mean, when she gets into her 30s.
Wow.
Okay, well, we wasted way too much time on this.
Wasted
now-
or enjoyed.
Wasted. All right, so let's go back to Warbreaker, and we will go into well, first we need to cover last week's chapters, and it's Sheta's turn to go over
No!
chapters
it's
5 through
not.
10.
It is actually, Sheta.
Oh no! It's been too long. And I've been really bad. I've had no notes. Okay. Chapter 5, you say?
Yes. Pretty much, I'll start you off. It started off with Siri going into the castle and being prepped.
Really? Oh, right, from last week. Okay, yeah. Yes. Siri is, arrived at the castle, is getting prepped to go meet the Lord Ruler.
Yes, the Lord Ruler.
Same. And then, she learns some stuff about the kingdom, get some dresses, makeover. Then, we cut to, her sister is also, right? Coming into town, or trying to go save Siri. This is what happens when it's 2 weeks and I didn't know I was supposed to recap. What's the sister's name again? Sorry.
Vivenna.
Yes, Vivenna is also venturing out to go and save Siri. She's with her childhood friend, and she's trying to meet up with the family spy to get details on how to get into the castle and stuff like that. She finds out that guy is dying. She goes over to his place and she finds out he has breath, and he gives her the breath. And it's a lot of breath, like hundreds. That was a really bad recap.
There are worse recaps, Sheta. However, you did seem to miss like half of what happened.
I know. I
You
was
missed
like,
a whole
that's the
character.
end. Well, yeah. Didn't we see Lightsong as well
Yes.
in there? Yeah.
Lightsong,
yes.
and we.
Yeah, Lightsong and the other god girl. They flirt a little bit. They do not have sex, boo. And then they talk about politics instead.
More or less, he specifically tries not to talk about politics.
Yeah.
All right.
Did I miss any big thing? What did I miss in there?
Something pretty big, Sheta.
Oh yes, the God King does not sleep with Siri. He just
There you
weirdly
go.
sits there. Yeah. So she's like, "What is going on? Am I not pretty enough for you?" And it's kind of weird. Yeah, we finally see him and he's weird.
All right. Decent enough. We'll give you one free reroll. All right. And so this week we read chapters 11 through 16 of this book. So, how'd you two feel about these chapters as you read them?
I think we learned a lot. Or
We
we
did,
learned
yeah,
a
I'd
few.
say so.
Yeah.
We're getting into the standard, like, we've been introduced to the world, now start explaining it section of the book, where we start to learn some of the deeper lore things that they don't want to bombard you with too quickly to alienate people.
This is the stuff I like. Nitty-gritties. Not nitty-gritties yet. The broad strokes we're getting.
I mean, I think nitty-gritties was more accurate to what you were saying than broad strokes. Wouldn't broad
Well,
strokes be what it was before, and now it's getting into the nitty-gritty of it a bit?
well, first you start with these, and then we get into the nitty-gritties later. Because we get like, oh, it's like this. And then I think broad strokes. I'll stick with broad strokes. Because I
Then
feel like
what
there's
would
a
you
lot.
call what it was before? Not that this matters at all.
Before is just, it's not even started yet. It's just place setting, is what I would call it.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's get into our chapters that we went through this week. As I said, 11 through 16. So, chapter 11. We start off with Siri, and she's asking Trellides to bend the rules a bit and allow her to leave the palace, but he declines to make an exception. He tells her that if she's bored, then she can have any number of performers brought into the palace. But Siri asks if she can at least meet with one god, and that there's no reason for her to be locked up. Trellides takes issue with the term locked up and says that she is observing a period of isolation in which to dedicate herself to contemplating her new place in life. He says that he assumes that she's only testing him because they will not make an exception in the matter of religion, and that he finds it hard to believe that someone with such vulgar thoughts could be allowed to touch the God King.
That was such a backhanded compliment. Or it's like, you must be testing me, because if you were saying this and not, you must be a fucking idiot, ungodly heathen.
Then after Trellides leaves, Siri asks for food from the servants, and she has aches and cramps because each of the last 6 nights she has gone before the God King and bowed nude before him. And each time he simply watched her and she fell asleep on the floor. She would wake up and he'd be gone, so she'd go into the bed and sleep. And she's begun asking for more ornate gowns to wear at night, so that way she'd have a larger dress to use as a blanket on the floor. In the morning, servants would bring many dresses for her to choose from to wear for the day, and she has never seen the same dress twice. So now later in the day, Siri's in the hallway along with Bluefingers, in front of the door to the bed chambers. Even though she knew what would happen, she still felt fear. She knows that one day the God King will take her, and it could come at any time. And the extended dread is even worse than the fear of that first night. Siri notices that Bluefingers looks nervous and wonders why. And he asks her if things have been going well with her and the God King, and points out that she seems tired a lot of the time, so she must be very active at night.
So awkward.
Yeah, we're at it like rabbits.
Ew. No.
And Siri says, well, that's a good thing, because everyone wants an heir right away. And Bluefinger's like, of course. But then he tells Siri that she might want to be careful and keep her wits about her. Siri asks him if she's in danger, and Bluefinger says no. And he's simply suggesting that she remain alert. He pushes her into the room and whispers, you should watch yourself, child. Not all here is as it seems. And while she's in the room with where the God King is, she looks at the vibrant colors coming off her dress, and even the white has colors coming off of it. She removes her clothes and kneels once again. And she thinks about Bluefinger's warning, and that it must be about politics. She thinks that Vivenna would have been able to figure out what he had meant, and would likely have been able to also figure out why the God King wouldn't sleep with her. Siri thinks that she is incompetent, and she has tried so hard to do as Vivenna would have done. But Siri cannot keep doing this. She feels trapped in the palace and can't even tempt the God King to bed her.
More we learn about Vivenna, the more I start to think, Siri, I don't know that Vivenna would be doing any better in these situations, honestly.
Yeah,
she might be doing worse. Because Vivenna seems to have a much higher opinion of what she'd be capable of doing here, and it seems like she's actually quite ignorant, even though she's very learned of this stuff.
She learned it wrong. All this stuff is not right. All this stuff is like a weird old version of how things actually are and stuff. So she would not be prepared for any of this.
Mm. I would love to see that alternate story, though, to see how she would be doing here, especially
Yes.
at the bedding part. Because I'm
Oh my
sure she'd
god.
actually probably, I don't know, be more assertive in a way, thinking that she had to be or something. And I think that that could wind up going really poorly, too.
What would
I
she
don't
do
think this.
differently? Like, oh,
Well, just
sorry.
like she says, how she had plans to try to help protect her kingdom and do all this politics stuff. And you're like, even though she's all learned, she's not going to be able to do politics like the people out here who do it every single day.
Mhm.
Like they say later about Siri, I think Vivenna would be eaten alive too.
Yeah. Did they tell her to do this? Like, take her dress off and bow? Like, they
Yeah.
told her to do that, right?
hmm But they also
Well,
seem like they really have no idea what you're supposed to do here.
Well, Siri was told that by Bluefingers. We don't know if
okay.
Vivenna was taught this sort of stuff. I doubt
Uh,
it. I don't think that, personally, I don't think that Idris realized how isolated Vivenna would have been in the bedchamber with Susabron. All right, and yeah, so Siri, she feels trapped in the palace, and she can't even tempt the God King to bed her, and now she may be in danger, and she doesn't even understand how or why. And then Siri just gets so annoyed, she sits up and looks at the God King and asks, "Will you please just get on with it?" And then her hair turns white in fear, and she looks down as she expects the God King to execute her immediately. Minutes pass and nothing happens. And Siri looks back up to him, and he's still sitting in his chair, and now he's sitting up straighter. And she continues to kneel and just stare at him until he eventually leaves the room. And she stares at him for hours. They just look at each other. And she expects people to come in and now and execute her, but they don't. And then Siri goes into the bed and falls asleep, thinking that the God King's wrath is decidedly less wrathful than reported.
Let's see.
It was weird when he reacted. I didn't know he was gonna do anything different. So I'm
Did he
convinced
react?
he sat up straighter, is what I said.
Oh, okay.
I thought he would just be a vegetable person, but maybe still
I'm
could be.
very curious to learn about him.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that he's not.
I feel like
Yeah,
that
not
part
yet.
would have been real interest. Just Siri sitting there kneeling, completely naked, just locking eyes with the God King for hours. And I think the book even said that she felt even more embarrassed doing that than she was like bowing before him. All right, anything else from chapter 11 you two want to go over?
I'm really wondering if we're going to get a plot where he is a thing, or if we're going to get a plot where she somehow makes him fall in love with her. Like the gods are kind of scared of later, of her actually gaining power here. Because, again, we don't know what the hell he is. I'm so curious about that.
Yeah.
I also kind of think he might have, like, not be a thing, but, like, his brain isn't as developed as people act like it is. Does he know what's
Yeah.
going on here? You know?
Yeah. He might be still like a child in his brain, and that would be
Mhm. That'd be
just
creepy. And I also wonder
creepy.
if he just does get off on either the idea of controlling somebody, which I doubt because he does that all the time anyways, I'm sure. Or if he's like a thing and he's not actually in power and the priesthood's in power. That's my current theory. And then if he's just really shy and he just needs her to make the first move. I
He's
could
just
see it
shy.
being that. He doesn't talk to a lot of people, right? He's like pretty much sequestered on his own all the time.
Yeah. Oh
He
my
could just be
god.
like really
He doesn't know how
shy.
to talk to girls. Is that the problem?
hmm
That's so weird.
And
Yeah,
like
because
he
he
doesn't
is
know
really
what to do
young.
either.
Oh my god. Okay, that would be so freaking cute. I hope that's the
And in
case.
that case, somebody more assertive, I could see him actually falling for them. So now I guess I'm
Ooh!
shipping this monster and our main character, but we'll see.
That is, oh my gosh. I really hope for that.
I would not place money on it.
I am. $50.
I think he's a thing controlled by the priesthood, and they're getting annoyed that she's not just going over and making this stuff happen because they need it to bear a new thing to keep their power for some reason.
Mhm.
All right. Well, then we'll go on to chapter 12. Now, chapter 12, we're with Lightsong. And Lightsong is finally having to listen to petitions. He thinks about how he had dreamt about war again last night, and it disturbed him. Everyone says that if war comes, then Hallandrin would easily win. But why did he dream of Teteller burning then? but he tells himself that it means nothing. So he's sitting there, and then the next petitioner comes in, and it is a woman carrying an incredibly sick baby. Lightsong can tell the child will not survive the day, and probably not even the hour. And the woman tells Lightsong that her baby was brave like him. Lightsong closes his eyes and says that he cannot. The woman whispers thank you, and leaves while weeping. Lightsong sees other petitioners looking miserable yet hopeful, because this means they will get a chance to beg Lightsong to kill himself. Lightsong leaves the room and tells his servants to leave him be. He doesn't know why he is so bothered by this. He's sent pregnant women, sick children, the innocent, and the faithful to their deaths before. Larimar comes up to him, and Lightsong asks what the people expect of him. He's selfish. Do they really expect him to give up his life for them? Larimar says that he offers hope that one day one of his followers will be granted a miracle. Lightsong says that he has no desire to die, and that people like him don't give up their lives for others. The good gods, like Comseer and Brighthue, are already dead. The rest of the gods are selfish, and no petition has been granted in 3 years.
Yeah, this system is strange and interesting to me because if they keep dying and then bringing in new ones, eventually you're going to get to the point where any who would actually do it will not be around anymore, and you'll only have the ones who cling on to life, you know? So it almost seems like this is set up to turn into this very eventually.
Well, now, because that's what he just
Mhm.
said, you know?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, how could it not turn into that over time, you know?
Well, that depends on what the system is, because that's what the guy says in a bit here, that they're supposed to know when when they would do their sacrifice, and like it's supposed to be for a reason. So maybe they're keeping them alive until their purpose happens, is the
Well, when I
idea.
say system, I'm saying their
You don't
religious
believe?
beliefs are
Oh,
probably a bunch of mumbo jumbo and aren't even close to
oh,
what's actually going on.
I guess mine is
I don't.
assuming that it's all real. Yeah,
We're in a world where we've got at least 3 different religious systems that all have different feelings about this stuff, you know. This one,
yeah.
the big one in power, I just have a heart. I would be surprised if this is the one that's true, because a lot of the things they're saying seem kind of random to me. And there's definitely something weird going on that we don't have full access to.
Mhm.
Lightsong says that this religion is ridiculous. It has the people petitioning their gods to kill themselves in order to heal a single person. Larimar asks if he should call off the rest of the petitions, and Lightsong says, why not? This should show those people how useless he is. And he wonders why Larimar never gets mad at him. He should know just how useless Lightsong is.
I think Larimar's really interesting. He's very upfront about his beliefs.
Yeah.
Like, if he's genuine, he seems to really believe, like, you act however you want. You be as selfish as you want because you're here for a purpose. And when that time comes, it'll be made apparent, you know? So I like him quite a bit.
Mhm.
Like, he doesn't understand why he never gets mad. It's either because he's doing some other fucked up thing we don't know about, or what I believe, which is just he actually believes in this stuff.
But doesn't he? Isn't he not part of? No, that's Bluefingers.
That was
Never mind. Yeah.
Bluefingers, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was also very interesting to learn.
Yep, and Lightsong goes up to his second floor, which is like a patio, and he thinks about how Blushweaver had said that eventually he will have to stand for something, and that he is a better man than he gives himself credit for. Larimar comes up and joins him. Lightsong asks what is the point, religiously, of a god that can heal a single person, then die. Larimar explains that a returned aren't just gods, but people who had died and then decided to come back. Returned aren't meant to stay. They saw something of the future from the other side and came back, but returning causes their memory to fracture. The petitions are meant to help them remember. It doesn't have to be to come back and save a single life, though. It could be to share information from the future or to participate in a great event. Someday, once he feels he's accomplished his goal, then he can use the petitions to find someone who deserves his breath. And Lightsong asks, what if he doesn't believe in all this? Larimar answers that maybe that is what he came back to find out. Lightsong points out that doesn't make sense, that he came back to find out that he believes in religion, or that he doesn't believe in religion. And Larimar admits that, yeah, that's right, that doesn't make sense.
Unless he came back to preach to the masses that this version of it is incorrect, which I think would be funny.
And then Lightsong changes the topic and asks Larmar what he thinks of the implications of the Queen's arrival. Larmar says that smells of politics, and he says that the court of 20 years ago thought it was a good idea. Lightsong thinks about how that court is gone now, and they've been left with inferior replacements. If Larmar is correct, then what Lightsong sees is important, and he gets a sense of foreboding with the visions of war. And there is an assembly of the gods tomorrow, and Lightsong asks Larmar to contact Blushweaver, so that way he can share a box with her during it.
It's funny that, the whole kingdom over there is working off the idea that these people give a shit about the contract that they have with them and stuff, that this will keep them safe. When, like he says, that was the people of 20 years ago. So it's really funny to me that it really makes the king of, Idris, right? Seem kind of naive too. Everyone from there seems kind of naive of what the people here in the capital actually think like and their culture is like, which is not something I would want out of my king.
Oh, yeah, they just seem really ignorant of how things actually are, which is weird.
Well,
weird, but also I think pretty realistic too,
And to be fair to that king, he only thought, like, sending his daughter there, he did not think that was going to prevent a war. He only thought it would delay them long enough.
Well, it sounds like it might not even do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then the chapter ends with us jumping back over to Siri for a little section. And she stands in the dark bedchamber in the morning looking out the window. She had waited all morning for punishment, but there had been none. And she thinks about how she has been going about this all wrong, and that she allowed herself to be pushed around by her worries. She smiles and thinks that it was time to stop being afraid. And that's the end of chapter 12.
I'm curious if that kind of thinking is going to work out for her and she's going to really acclimate to this place and, become like pro it and part of it and stuff, or if it's going to lead to her getting executed.
It can't be. She's our main character.
We don't know what the rules are.
It's going to be like a Disney princess moment where she's like, I'm going to shine and start being myself. My hair is going to be rainbow.
Let the colors flow, like that.
Yeah, let it. Yeah, exactly.
And Sheta, I would like to point out, at this point in Final Empire, did you think that Kelsier was going to be killed before the end?
No, I guess not.
Yeah, Sheta, Brandon Sanderson has a rule to kill the main character at the beginning of every book he writes.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Raoden didn't die.
He did die.
No,
though.
but our true main character did.
Wraithen? Elof?
Somebody who died at the beginning of the book. Yeah, Iadon. Yep. Our true main character, Iadon, died. Yep. That's right.
I guess so.
Unless you count Raoden being dead the entire time, since Galadin kept saying that they're already dead.
Exactly, that's right.
That's what...
Galadin was, yep.
All right, anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, on to chapter 13. All right, it's the morning after Vivenna had gained the breaths from Lemix. She had had a hard time going to sleep and worried about both the breaths and also what she's going to do now that Lemix is dead. And she says that she is going to give away the breaths to people in Hallandrin who had had their breaths stolen because of the culture. But Denth informs her that isn't how it works. When you give a breath to a person, then it is all or nothing. If she gave them away, then she'd make herself a drab.
Man, the fact that she doesn't even know that about this culture here, that makes me, again, adds to the naivety I think she has.
And Tongfos does say that she could just awaken some things and simply never take the breaths back from them in order to get rid of the breaths.
That's what I'd do, have a bunch of cartoon sidekicks around all the time.
Oh, cute. Do it.
Denth mentions that he hates being a mercenary because their employers tend to die. Vivenna worries since they no longer have an employer and that they had stayed here overnight. Does this mean they were planning to blackmail her? Denth points out from her expression that this is exactly why he hates being a mercenary, because nobody ever trusts them. He says that since Lemix is dead, then that means his contract moves to Vivenna. She asks how much is left on it, and he answers that Jules handles that kind of thing. Tongfa explains that Jules is the third member of the group, and she's currently off doing Jules things.
Jules is either going to be like the most straight-laced character ever, or out cartoon and annoying these two guys to a degree I've never seen before. I'm curious to see which one it is.
Yeah. Depending on that, I might quit.
No, not quit. I'm just curious to see. It's got to be one of those two.
Denth asks Vivenna what she's going to do with them, and she tells him that she is here to rescue her sister. So she needs to sneak her sister out of the God's King Palace and return her to Idris. Siri is not ready to deal with Hallandrin, but they cannot simply grab Siri and go, because then Hallandrin will attack Idris for stealing the queen. They need to make her disappear in a way that cannot be traced back to Idris. Denth says that that's a little bit out of their expertise. Lemix had been mostly keeping them on as bodyguards. Vivenna asks why Lemix wouldn't have used Idris soldiers for the bodyguards, and Denth says that he had been embezzling funds. Vivenna didn't believe it, but Denth points out how many breaths he had. He probably was still a patriot, though. Vivenna wonders how someone could do that and still be a patriot and faithful to Ostre. Denth says they might be able to come up with an idea about Siri. It's a little like kidnapping, which Tongfa says that they aren't fond of. Vivenna asks what projects they knew Lemix was doing, but Denth says that they only saw pieces. He says that they will have to ransack the house, which shocks Vivenna. He tells her that they will have to search for any possibly hidden information. And Denth tells Vivenna that she won't want to stay, because today is the day that Siri is being presented to the Court of Gods. And since Vivenna has so many breaths, she will be able to get into the assembly. And then once again, the chapter ends. We're jumping back over to Siri. And Siri is getting ready to go out to meet the Court of Gods. She's looking forward to finally meeting some of these gods, plus she will actually be able to see her husband since he will also be there. Her servants do up her hair with some braids and ribbons in it, and Siri knows that her family would be mortified at the ostentatious colors, but Siri likes it. She's given multiple dresses to choose from, and she picks 2 gold ones, and then a couple more gold dresses are brought in. Siri decides to try them all on. She knows that it is frivolous, but she is in Hallandrin, so she might as well learn their ways.
It's making me wonder if she's going to really take to it here and become an enemy to her own people. She doesn't really like... She seems to love her sisters, but she did not seem to like their culture at all.
Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
Not for me.
I'm good. Pretty straightforward. All these chapters are pretty straightforward.
All right, so on to chapter 14. Lightsong's heading to the arena for the assembly, and he's complaining about the fact that it is raining. He asks why it is raining, even if he doesn't want it to rain. Larmar suggests that maybe the other gods want it to rain. And when Lightsong arrives at the arena, instead of going to his own box, he goes to Blushweaver's. He takes a breath before going in because he felt like he had to be on guard around her. She treated him kindly and had a high opinion of him, but a man could be taken in by a woman like her. Lightsong tells Blushweaver that she is responsible for the rain, and she responds that she likes the rain because she likes things that are different. Lightsong says that he likes to be mediocre. Blushweaver asks if he bows to the whims of the universe. Lightsong asks what else he'd do. She tells him to fight and force the universe to bow to you instead. Lightsong says that he's secretly a worshipper of Astra because it is simple. But Blushweaver says that Astraism is complex. If he really wants something simple, then he should go with the Pankal faith. Lightsong's confused because he thought that, they worship the Return. But he says that the Pankal are practically Hallandrin. Lightsong asks why she wants him and what she is planning. And Blushweaver looks over the God King's empty box. She said she is curious about the Queen, and that today the Queen's period of isolation is over. Then we cut back over to Siri, and she's being carried to her box in the arena. She has her servants move her ahead of her canopy so that way she can feel the rain falling onto her. Siri's just glad to be outside.
I always wonder whenever she makes requests of her handmaidens and servants that they kind of look all uncomfortable about. When's it going to be where they just start getting executed and we don't know about it for breaking these tenets we don't know about that she's making them do by accident?
Oh my goodness.
I'd always be really freaked out for them whenever they're, making those faces. Because I imagine some priest is like, you allowed the princess to get wet. That goes against the ancient ways. And then just executes them because they can't say she asked us to.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah,
these people freaked out.
They're scared for a reason. She doesn't know.
They're always looking down. They don't want to offend her, I know. That's how I interpret it. But I also wonder if there's more there too, because she doesn't know shit about the culture.
I think that's always scary.
She's
when
not going to
someone
get
does
punished
that.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah. We go in
Like, is it
thinking like,
gonna...
I'll free them. Yeah,
If they do a plot point where it turns out like hundreds of these people have been executed, she's like, why do I never see the same ones ever? I would be very
Gosh.
impressed and sad.
All right. Siri is wearing a dress that is showing more skin today than she has ever worn. So I think it's one where it's like a little bit lower cut in top, has like a midriff showing. I think like the
think. We all know that you have memorized exactly what she has from the art you did of it.
yeah,
What?
my great art skills.
I didn't say it was good art.
All right.
What? When was this?
Yes. When was this?
All right, and she arrives at her box in the arena and looks around. The God King's box is still empty because he will not arrive until all the other gods have already arrived. And then now we cut over to Vivenna and Parlin as they are walking into the arena. It was simple for Vivenna to be let in since she is currently at the third heightening. And anybody that's at first heightening or above are allowed in. Anybody that's below that, they can enter like raffles or something to have the chance to go into these assemblies. With her breaths at the level they are, she can tell which people are at the first heightening. And she can tell how many breaths other people have. The people at the first heightening, they get that sense. The second heightening, that's where you get perfect pitch. And at the third heightening, they have perfect color perception. Vivenna sees all the colors and styles everyone is wearing and knows that it is impossible to stand out in this city. Vivenna watches one of the return enter through a special entrance. He gave off a biochromatic breath that Vivenna had never seen. His breath registered as infinite. And a man that's standing beside Vivenna rises into the air by an unusually long cloak. And then he was lowered and mumbles something. And then Vivenna spots Siri and sees what she is wearing. And Vivenna believes that Siri is being forced to wear something so scandalous as a way to show that they can take a chaste, innocent Adrian woman and do whatever they want to her.
That's my favorite part. And that's the part where I really started thinking, oh man, she doesn't know anything.
And then Parlin asked, why is everyone starting to bow? And we cut back over to Siri, and she sees the final god arrive. And then she watches everyone bow, and the gods go down to their knees, as her own dress just explodes in color, and a white serving bowl beside her begins to shine, and a rainbow of color stretches from it. And one of her serving women pulls on her shoulder and whispers, "Behind you!" And that's the end of the chapter. So when you two read that for the first time, did you understand what was going on at the end with all the colors exploding off and everything?
Yeah. Or I put together that that happens, that colors come in and stuff when people have a lot of breath or crazy amount of power. So that's what we saw in the first chapter with that first guy when he got the power. Like colors were reacting to him differently when he had more breath.
I couldn't say because I feel like I read these so close together. I don't even remember them being 2 chapters.
Well, you mean like that the king was coming? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I knew that was it. It was really freaky. You're like, oh my god, he does seem like a monster or something.
All right. Anything else from this chapter you want to go over?
I just wanted to say with that part with when you said Vivenna was very like naive or something for thinking that she also even thought they're even forcing her to pretend to feel happy so that her dress would match her hair. Like I was like, really? You're gonna think that much instead of that accepting that maybe your sister is actually excited or happy about this? Like
that was one of my favorite parts
that
too.
kind of
So funny.
delusional, or like, when you kind of like make a story in your head before believing something
and a bit
to be true.
overprotective too.
Yeah.
And also, she just doesn't seem to be able to fathom why anyone would like this culture and enjoy all the attention grabbing and colors and stuff, even though that's her sister's entire personality. It always was. She's naturally one of these kind of people,
Yeah. I think it's interesting that they have this power in their hair to make colors, and they don't think maybe this is what we're naturally supposed to be, like instead our whole life we have to dampen this or pretend we don't have it, like that just seems really unnatural. And
Maybe the hair
doesn't
was
make
put there
sense.
by Aster as a test of your faith.
Yeah, right. Why?
It's not up to us to
It's too
judge the God's
unnatural.
will, Sheta.
Sounds like something somebody made to oppress something else, that's all.
I feel like, it might have something to do with the fact that, they were forced out of, Hallandrin and forced into the mountains, so maybe they're just trying to go against the culture that forced them away.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Joe. These are religious doctrines. You can't say there's such mundane reasons for them.
All right, let's go on to chapter 15.
Before that, I want to start making a bet when we start these books. Which religion is true? I want to start doing that bet.
What? Like, make a tally or something?
Mm-hmm. Like last book, we had, Sazed has all these religions. We could make the bet and see if we believe that the Lord Ruler actually was God, stuff like that. First book, we never got a definitive answer, sadly, but...
Well, technically, the Lord Ruler did have some of the power of the god, because he had gained that power from the Well of Ascension.
Very true, but he was not God, as they said. They claimed.
He didn't say he was God either. He always said he was a sliver of infinity.
Ah, so I guess he was being more honest than I realized. But the way that how did I forget his name? But the religious guy believed him like he was a deity who was testing them and could not die.
Yeoman.
Yeah, Yeoman.
Well, even at the end of Mistborn, there wasn't one religion that turned out to be the correct religion.
Well, yeah, you would be wrong in that case because it turned out that actually, yeah, there was the prophecy from long ago that Sazed was the one. So whatever that religion is, that was the true religion.
Well, the thing is, the prophecy bits of it were spread out through all the different religions.
There you go.
Preservation had split it up into different parts.
Mm-hmm. So there we go. So if you were you'd really have to call ahead of time that specifically in order to be right. That would be a difficult one to do.
And we all know in Elantris, the correct religion is the Jeskari Mysteries.
Yep. I think there was evidence of that. Because the second that Aiden stopped sacrificing virgin girls, everything went really bad for the whole nation.
Oh.
So obviously, that one was
Shut
true.
Up.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, you could kind of say that
our
maybe
heroes messed up, right?
Maybe everything went right, because not long after that, the city of Elantris was fixed.
It didn't go right for the believers in the Jeskari Mysteries, that's for sure.
All right. Anything else from this chapter that we read?
No.
All right. We'll go on to chapter 15. Siri sees the God King for the first time in the light. He looked younger than she had expected, and he looks around 20, even though he has been ruling for decades. He's wearing white, and his biochroma is so powerful that it makes the white split into colors, like it is light through a prism. He looks at her with a blank and unreadable expression. And Siri goes to a knee after a serving woman tugs on her. And then we cut over to Lightsong, who's, he's standing while Blushfever's kneeling. And he asked her, why do we kneel? Blushfever tells him to drop. And Lightsong asks what would happen if he doesn't. She says that it could hurt.
Sometimes Lightweaver really sounds like a high schooler to me.
I was going to say that. I was like, how old is he? Like 15 or something? Like, I'm not going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Like,
yeah, and just to be like, why do we stand? Why do we do this? I mean, he is technically quite young, so I think that's really interesting.
He is 15, isn't he? No, he's 5 or something. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like they come back with a child's mentality.
I know, he's going through like a teenage rebellion right now.
Hell, maybe he died young, I guess, for all we know. Because they don't tell him who he was, right?
No. We don't know much about them. Like, is this his real body? Like, does he look like this for real? Or did he possess...
Well, I mean, they specifically don't tell you who you were because they don't want to influence how you read your dreams and all that stuff. If I'm recalling correctly.
Yeah.
And, Blushweaver says that, it could hurt our cause. And Lightsong thinks about how they've only had a single meeting, and now it is our cause. And then he still drops to his knees. And then we're back over to Siri, and she watches as Susobron is lifted up into a golden throne by ropes awakened from some awakeners. And Siri is a little relieved and also annoyed that he is not sitting with her. He lifts his arm up, and people rise back up, and they begin to talk. Siri thinks about if Susubron really is a god, but she also thinks that Astra is the only god. Susubron is only a returned. But she does understand, after seeing him, how the Hallandren can worship him. Bluefingers comes into Siri's box, and she tries to ask him about his warning, but he stops her. And she asks him if the returned are really gods. Bluefingers is about to go get a priest, but Siri says that she wants to hear it from a normal follower, not a priest. Bluefinger explains to her that he does not worship the returned, and that he is like her and follows a different religion, because he is Pankal. Siri says that Pankal and Hallandren are the same, but Bluefingers corrects her and says that Pankal are ruled by the God King as a king, but they don't worship him. And Siri figures out that this is why Bluefingers is always wearing brown, and also pieces together that all the serving people that she sees wearing brown must be Pankal. And he tells her that he believes that the returned are good people, but misguided. Siri asks about the God King's colorful aura, and Bluefinger says that he has a wealth of breaths. As a returned, he is identical to the others, but the God King is given tens of thousands of breaths that have been passed down. The majority were originally collected by Peacegiver the Blessed, and then passed on to the first Hallandren King. These breaths have grown over the years, because the God King is given 2 breaths each week instead of 1. The God King is the only person to have achieved the 10th heightening, which also allows him to break lifeless commands and to awaken objects without touching them, using only his voice.
And it's so fascinating to have a religion here that seems somewhat overbearing, that's also open-minded enough to, not open-minded, but willing to allow a guy like this to just be in here and openly tell their queen this kind of stuff. Really, really surprises me.
It is weird that they don't believe.
Normally, these kind of theocracies are really, really, wanting to make sure to get heresy down. They don't want people thinking otherwise. Now, I don't know. Maybe outside the palace, they'd be more strict on this. I don't know, but it's interesting. Because what he's saying makes more sense than the religion, And so I would, like she does, I would just believe it if I was told this.
Yeah, I can't believe that. This whole thing is such a sham. Like, everything is just openly not actually a thing and stuff.
Well, we don't know. Could be true.
No, like their god king, or their, is a person, is that one person who collected those breaths. When I was like, so he collected all these breaths during the war, huh? Like, wow. And it's the most that anyone's ever had. Yeah, I bet a lot of people died during the war. Like, it's just all creepy.
I like the
and
imagery
weird.
of him walking around, probably convincing people to give it up on their deathbed for a greater good.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. So I was like, that's just so creepy. And that this guy, this new king, just inherited that breath. I was like, oh, that's so I didn't think it was like a monarchy, or that they just passes it on to his son or whatever. So there's no real special thing about this person. Like, it's just that they happen to be the one to get it.
Again, we don't know. Could be Sheta.
Well, they have explained before that, or here, that the God King was returned as a stillborn.
Mm-hmm. Still, I mean, like, that's we weren't there,
so is she gonna have to give birth to a stillborn baby too?
That's what they were saying a little bit.
I believe so. I think they said the God King's the only return that's able to have a child, and the child's always a stillborn, but then returns.
This is messed up. This is like some American horror effed up stuff. Like, God.
I have a theory about why that is that I'll say later. That's kind of stupid.
Really? Okay.
Siri thinks about her teachings and that the returned are not gods. The royal family had been cast out of Hallandren by a revolt led by Kalad the Usurper. He had led the people in building Lifeless and had also created a powerful army of creatures that none had ever seen before. And this army is said to still be out there waiting to sweep down and destroy. And then Peacegiver seized control and stopped the many war, but did not give Hallandren back to its rightful rulers. Siri thinks that Hallandren likely had its own version of this story, and that Hallandren was a lot less terrible than she had been taught.
Uh-oh. She's getting indoctrinated.
It's happening, yeah.
The story's going to be her and her sister fighting by the end of it, each one leading a kingdom.
Yep. Speaking of that sister, now we jump over to Vivenna, and she thinks that Houndrin is a lot worse than she had been taught.
Okay. It's happening.
It's like she's sitting in the stands in the arena watching the stuff, and there's just so many people around her, and she's uncomfortable with all the people around her. And she thinks about her breaths and that they are horrible because of how wonderful they felt. And she decides that she wants to leave because she has seen Siri and that's why she came here. As Vivenna turns to leave, she spots a man, who we know as Vasher, staring at her and worries that he knows who she is. And she can tell that he is at the 5th heightening. He begins to walk towards her, and she sees the sword at his waist, and she can sense something from the sword. She tells Parlin that it's time to leave, but she can still tell that Vasher is watching her even when she's not looking at him because of her life sense. And Parlin says that he thought that she wanted to hear what the priests were talking about because it sounds like they are about to declare war on Idris. And that's the end of the chapter. Anything else in this chapter you two want to go over?
I like seeing Vasher there. Like he actually exists in this time.
I think it's funny that he comes off as very scary to her.
What is she, the 3rd heightening?
Yes. Vivenna's at the 3rd heightening.
Okay. So 5th, that's pretty big. I wondered if for some reason I felt like Vasher knew the guy who gave her the breath, and maybe he recognized her because she has his breath. That's what I think.
You sure he's not just a pervert?
Yeah, I guess maybe he could just be a pervert, but I thought
I like a girl who's bundled up.
like, yo, I gotta get this girl's number. She's looking all. That's what's happening. I don't think it's that, Justin.
Looking at the Ars Arcanum in the back, if you're curious to know the numbers, the 3rd heightening, you need approximately about 600 breaths. It's not exact science. It could be a little bit more, a little bit less, but approximately 600. The 5th heightening, you need approximately 2,000.
Wow. That's why that guy was being tortured.
And then for the God King, 10th heightening, you need approximately 50,000.
Oh, for some reason I thought it'd be more, but yeah.
More than 50,000 breaths?
Yeah, like 100,000. Like how many people? I don't know. Like when armies come in, there's usually like a couple 100,000.
I think an army of 50,000 is pretty scary already.
Yeah, it is. Maybe I'm just ignorant of how much that is.
Well, let's count it out and see.
To be a god is all I'm saying, 50 if Vasher has 6,000, I feel like it wouldn't be too much for him to get to 50 and become god too, like.
I totally disagree. It sounds so hard to get a breath because people have to give it up willingly,
Yeah,
so
no,
even
it's a
getting
lot.
one sounds so hard. I mean, I'm amazed at these people who have thousands.
But then,
that's why I think it's funny
sorry.
the guy he took it all from was the guy who was leading the rebellion, because obviously he's going to be able to get people to give him up, for a cause.
Yeah, I think.
And then that they use kids specifically too sometimes, I think is really creepy, for Lightsong.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny when she says that, she has this number of the breaths, so she's able to sense when somebody's like watching her, which is something that all people have, but, at a much lesser degree. I think that's so funny because, we know that's a thing where you can feel somebody's watching you. I think it's funny when they do a magic thing like this and then they use something from the real world and act like we have a certain number of breaths. And if we were able to figure out how to get more, we could also increase our abilities like that.
That's fun. Yeah. It's like, ooh, like we kind of have a little bit of that in your life.
All right. So on to our last chapter for today, chapter 16. And we're with Lightsong as he watches 2 priests argue over whether to go to war with Idris. The priest against the war is one of Stillmark's priests named Nanrova, and the priest for the war is one of Blushweaver's priests. And the court, it has priests give arguments so that way the gods can stay informed and then they can make their judgments. As he listens, Lightsong cannot dismiss the visions of Titeller burning from his mind. And Lightsong accuses Blushweaver of being behind the debate, which she declines. And then he says that she wants his lifeless commands. Blushweaver tries to deny it, but then admits yes, and that he is very difficult to manipulate. Lightsong asks Blushweaver what the priests aren't saying, and she says that it is the queen. Idris had sent the youngest one instead of the oldest one. They had spent a fortune learning everything they can about the oldest daughter, and even about the second daughter, and they know next to nothing about the youngest. Blushweaver believes that Idris had been secretly training Siri the entire time.
They really think highly of Idris.
Well, it's like, who's gonna just believe that? Yeah, the king sent his youngest one because he loved the older one more and he felt he could just get rid of the youngest.
Well,
They're not gonna
I'd believe that.
it.
It's that it was a last-second decision that I'd have trouble believing.
And Blushweaver says that they need to be ready to act. She won't let the kingdom be pulled out from under her like the old royal family. Lightsong controls 10,000 lifeless, and Blushweaver wants to get the other 3 returned with commands to join them. Lightsong gets up and decides to go talk to Siri. Blushweaver asks Lightsong to not ruin this. Siri asks one of her servants about the priest talking about the war, and then the servant leaves, and Trelades walks in. And so Siri asked him, and he says that they were talking about bringing her rebel province back under control. But Siri says that they wouldn't really attack because they gave them a queen, and the next God King will have royal blood. Trelades says that it is important for there to be a stable succession plan, and that an heir needs to be provided as quickly as possible. Siri says that they are working on it, but Trelades says that there is disagreement as to whether they actually are. She says that they are, but Trelades asks if she honestly thought that they would let an unfamiliar foreign woman alone with the God King without keeping a watch. Siri's horrified to realize that more people had been watching her. Trelades says that the God King can be difficult to work with, but she should be able to use her charms and motivate him. She needs to make an heir and bring stability because not everything in Hallandren is as cohesive as it may appear.
I feel so frustrated on her behalf to have everyone just be like, well, you're a lady, figure it out, seduce them. You're like, well, how? This is a weird-ass thing. And you say if I do the wrong move, I'm going to be killed. But everyone just suspects that she'll, intrinsically have the power to be able to know how to do that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is to be a woman.
Oh man, that makes me think what the 1-star reviews for this book will be like.
Oh God, no!
People who don't understand the nuances and take things at what it says instead of what it means.
And the people like Sheta who are mad that it didn't go further.
Trelades leaves as Lightsong arrives. Lightsong notices that Siri is a bit hesitant with talking to him and thinks that she is either not trained for this or she is a very good actress. Lightsong sits down and eats some grapes and jokes with Siri. Siri gets upset and asks if he is making fun of her. Just when she thought, everything in the city was starting to make sense, the priests start yelling at her and Lightsong arrives and acts like a schoolboy. Lightsong tells her not to base her opinion on the other gods off of him. Siri says that he is supposed to be the god of bravery, but he seems more like the god of jesters. And Lightsong's pretty much just like, oh, no, not him. He's lame. Trust me, there actually is one. He's lame.
Have we seen him yet? I want to very badly.
I don't think so. What was
I'm very excited. For a bad god of jesters, I'm very excited to see.
Let me go. What was his name? Mirth Giver, god of laughter. So
Mirth Giver.
Because the only return we really have seen are Lightsong, Blushweaver, and Susabron. So if you want to keep your eye out for Mirth Giver. Alright, Siri says that she does not understand him. And Lightsong realizes that she is no fake. Or she is the best actress ever. But he still thinks that there is some secret plot for why she was sent here, but she is not aware of it. Lightsong gets up to leave, but thinks back of his early days at the court, and he tells her not to let them get to her. And that's where our chapters end for this week.
I just love following it from her perspective for this whole time. And then now we're seeing her from other people's perspectives, and everyone's like, yes, she's some kind of plant, some kind of genius who's been sent in to disrupt our whole system and stuff.
I think it's pretty cute. They're all freaking out. And that this was all just a mistake or, fumble. This goes to show like when people like weaponize that kind of thing, where they just kind of like do a fumble and like Jack Sparrow. You're like, did you do that on purpose or
Or to keep
is he
people
a
all panicked and
genius?
on their
Yeah,
toes.
yeah. You
Do you
can't.
think he plans it all ahead or makes it up as he goes along, right?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from this chapter you want to go over?
It's just interesting watching Lightsong try to pretend that he doesn't care about anything when he clearly has a lot of thoughts and feelings. And to have him act like he's not sent here for a purpose when he controls that number of those the lifeless
Zombies.
things or whatever, the zombie things. While he's also having all these dreams of all these war things that are kind of obviously trying to influence him to not allow a war to happen. I'm curious to see how far he's willing to go on his pretending he doesn't care about anything thing. Mm-hmm.
Well then, let's go over to our theories and predictions area. All right, so with questions, I guess I'll first ask: will Siri be able to seduce Susabron into sleeping with her like everyone's telling her to?
I really can't guess. Now that he's a young, handsome guy, maybe. Just because that's less disturbing for the audience than if he was like a literal monster. And yet,
oh god,
I don't know. What's that?
just that. I just don't think it'll ever happen. It's not the style of, not to be meta about it, but I just can't see it happening.
I'm already surprised with the things. I would agree with you, but when he describes in this book what the girls are showing off, I'm like, I don't even know you, Brandon Sanderson. He's like, oh, her thighs were fucking awesome. Her cleavage was pushed up. It was super hot. I'm like, what? I'm shocked.
I did not read those words. When I read the book, I did not read.
When the other god girl is trying to seduce him. And it says that
Blush.
Yep.
Blush Weaver. I thought you was like Siri. Yep, Siri's pushing up her chest and it's
No, not her. It's the goddess or
it's
god
Blush
sister
Weaver,
she's talked to.
That's
who he's
true.
been like almost tempted. No, they didn't say, yeah, her tits looked awesome, her thighs glistened like a fucking No, none of that stuff. Though it did specifically point out that the second sister was curvier, so all I'm saying is I didn't know this writer as well as I thought I did. It's not a light novel.
Not written. I was gonna say an old like Conan the Barbarian story.
Now, if Susabron ends up being a real character, like we were saying, a shy boy, then maybe she could do it. But I don't think. Yeah, so I hope that she will, of course. But if they don't, if he isn't, then they're not gonna ever. He's either gonna die before then or something.
I think I agree with you on that, Sheta.
Yeah.
However, I do think there's a good chance she does produce the heir and become very loyal to this kingdom. I could see that as well.
Yeah, but you know what? I think they will. I think because the story has to be, she's the more bold, and she shouted at him, and Vivenna never would have. And you were saying it would take a kind of upfront kind of person to seduce somebody like that, and I think she's capable of that. It's like, what? We're doing it tonight, and you have nothing to say about it, like that kind of life. Like
she's gonna force herself upon him.
No, but in a sexy way.
Well, let's hope he feels that way about it. Jeez.
No, she wouldn't force. Okay, now you say that. Now I feel bad.
Don't worry, guys. I produced the heir. They all look at her like, you monster.
The God King's just crying. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, and then I guess the next one will be you have a Denth and Tonk Fa going through ransacking Lemix's place. Are they going to find any useful information in there?
Oh, for sure. I think they'll find some semblance of what it is he's planning, or some of the records he has on this stuff. They've gotta.
Yeah.
All right. And will Lightsong go along with Blushweaver and work together with her?
No, he doesn't want war, but he'll pretend to. I think he's going to be the most political of all.
Yeah, he is. I don't think he will be part of their club.
All right. Yeah, I don't really have any other questions. So if you two have any predictions or theories you want to throw out, now's your time.
Well, I've said a few. I don't have anything solid.
You said you had a theory for something that was stupid.
Yeah, early on you said something that you wanted to say later.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why this book's so fucked up about the sex stuff, right?
Huh?
That was
Is that it?
I think, yeah, it was. Why it's got all this creepy stuff.
I don't remember that, but okay.
I think this is Brandon Sanderson's book he's trying to write for girl audiences. That's why it's got the two female characters. And he looked out at all the books that were getting so successful at the time, for younger girl audiences and stuff, and trying to capitalize on how freaky some of those kinds of stories are. That's my theory on that. Because it said that he said a quote from the last book was it was him trying to write grim dark, right? And then he wound up writing that style. I wonder if he takes inspiration from other kinds of series that are getting popular.
That's
What's that?
Oh, go ahead.
No, that's just my very, very, very stupid, based on nothing commentary on my guess on what he's writing here.
Yeah, as someone who's read those, I totally see that. I could see that, But I'm like, okay, so you got all these hot people, and they're just lounging about and stuff. This is the gods and stuff. And then you got princesses and makeovers and steamy situations.
That stuff. Yep.
Though somebody
steamy and borderline scary situations too. Dangerous ones.
Yeah,
however, this could also be some whole thing against hedonism too. We'll see as it goes on.
Yeah, I know. There
Because
is
they're
some
always
stuff
eating, they're always enjoying stuff, stuff like that. What's that, Joe?
I was going to say, there is some stuff that he talks about, stuff that happened during the writing of this book. But I don't want to say it because it might skew your opinion about where some storylines might go.
Mm.
All right, any other theories or anything?
That's not yet for me.
Well, I'm starting to believe that the thing about the future prophecies might not be total bullshit like I thought last time, based on all his visions of war right before they decide that they might declare war.
Oh, I actually have a theory about the gods being, I think I really like they're supposed to kill themselves to to help people, to give blessings and stuff, and that they're not supposed to be living this long and sitting on their blessing. Like every day people are dying to give it, or people are giving them their breath just so they can survive another week, or however long. So I think something is wrong that is making this happen. And then I think our main guy, Lightsong, I think he's going to give his breath at a very specific moment to save our heroes and actually be very heroic. So,
yeah, I agree with you.
And then he's like, this is why what I was waiting for. And then it actually was all for a real purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's going to find faith of a kind by the end of it, too.
Yeah.
I think he already is starting to by accident.
Yeah. So before I thought Lightsong would get with Siri, but now I'm like, obviously he's going to be with Vivenna. So
Vivenna?
Yeah.
Do you actually think Vivenna would be willing to be with a returned?
I think she will have no choice. She'll fall for him too.
But what about Blushweaver?
What about that whore? Just kidding. Sorry.
Jeez.
I don't think she's actually interested in him. I think she's just interested in herself and politics and stuff.
All right, so I guess Sheta's new ship is Lightsong Vivenna, Siri Susabron.
Yeah.
So I guess that just kind of sucks for Parlin.
Oh, who's Parlin? Poor Parlin. Oh my god, that's the new Gorodel.
We'll see. Which one was he?
Parlin's like her
childhood friend.
Oh no, he doesn't have a chance.
That she said that she knows that he fancies her, so that's why he would help her.
He doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, she doesn't even think of him like that.
Or like simps? Is that what you were gonna say, Sheta?
Huh?
You said he likes those.
Yeah, kind of like sad guys who have unrequited love and stuff. Spook was one of those, until he got to be his own character.
Spook was
You know
just a
what? I
guy
think
with a crush. I wouldn't call him that. He barely knew Vin for that long.
he is just one that will never have a chance, You know what? I think he will actually end up with Blush Weaver. That would be pretty cool
Spook?
for him. No, the other guy, Parvellin.
Parlin?
What is that based on? That's nonsense. No way in hell will that happen.
I think she will like his simpleness, and he seems like he's pretty hot, like because he's a huntsman.
Gosh, man,
I
you're
think
very pretty.
no, I reckon you're the most beautiful woman I ever seen and stuff. And she'll
Yeah,
be like,
that's
wow.
it. That's it. Oh God,
And he'll be
no.
like the manliest man she's ever seen. She's only lived at the palace, so he's from the woods. He's gonna be like a
What?
real man.
You expect me to like that riff-raff?
Yeah, he's so hairy and
And
smells
she's
like
gonna sing a whole
earth and
song about
stuff.
it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Those are my ships, though. So that's
It's gonna be Meg's song from Hercules, I imagine, right?
Yep.
Oh, God. Why?
Joe's just cringing because he's like, how did you guess the ending from that of all things?
Yes, I know.
What about... All right, let's throw out another potential ship. What about Vivenna and Denth? They've talked.
Now I'm gonna do a Justin. Who is Denth?
Denth's
Isn't
the
Denth
mercenary.
one of the mercenaries? See?
Yeah,
Even I
Oh.
knew that one.
He's the main talking one.
I'll just say this. I don't like Denth, and I won't really be sad when he dies.
When he dies. Oh, Sheta, you know that because you said that, they're gonna make you so sad when he dies.
Or
Just 'cause
he
you
will
dared to
survive
say
and be like,
such a
hey
thing.
guys, I'm still here. And I'll be like,
No.
yeah, okay.
When he dies, he's gonna be like, don't worry, no one ever cries for a mercenary.
A
Just
mercenary?
tear up.
Why don't you like Denth?
I don't want to say because that might be someone's favorite character.
It
I'm
is
like-
someone's favorite character. Everyone is someone's favorite.
Sheta, that hasn't
Exactly what I'm
stopped
not
us
saying.
before.
I'm like Vivenna. I just find him annoying. Every time he's like, you know what I hate about being a mercenary? And I was like, oh my god, just say it. Don't make a story out of it. But
I'm telling you,
he's
Sheta, you're gonna be
fine.
crying for him by the end.
All right, do it. Make me cry. Make me regret it.
Okay, any other theories or predictions you two want to throw out?
No, but I'm excited to see and learn if our predictions come true, especially the one with the God King. I want to know the answer now.
I'm curious, if we haven't got it at this point, I'm wondering if we're ever going to, or if it's going to be like
That's
the
what I
Lord
mean.
Ruler, where we only see him at the very tail end and then he dies.
I want to know so I stop wondering.
All right, well, let's go on to our character of the week.
How'd I forget his name? He's my character of the week. Am I allowed to pick a character of the week if I forgot his name? Is that allowed?
Is
You
it
still have to get a
Goradel?
pass.
No, it's it's Lightsong's little assistant guy.
Larmar.
Larmar, that's it. I'm picking him as my favorite because I really like the way he engages with Lightsong and how he seems to be, at least so far, a true believer of the faith, which I think is interesting. And I could not stand listening to Lightsong all day, so I really admire his temperance and relaxedness. Also, I think he's funnier than Lightsong, who works so hard to be funny.
That's funny. This is tough. All right, sorry, I did not. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Bluefingers for being so awkward about asking Siri if she's, putting out every night, like, and also for weirdly caring about her safety and stuff. I don't really get his deal, and then also for finding out that he was not religious, right? Like, yeah, and
No,
all
he's
the
just a
stuff.
different religion.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in this. He just works here. Like, I think that made him really interesting to me. Even though before how I feel about people who have fingers in their name.
I agree with you, Shita, and I forgot to say how interesting I think it is that they specifically hire somebody who's not as reverent of the of the guy in charge, because most of the priests wouldn't be able to do that kind of work that needs to be done because they'd be too respectful or something.
I wonder. Yeah, because he runs everything. That's really weird that he wouldn't be religious.
All right, and for mine, I'm gonna go with Siri. I liked her part in the story where she's starting to take charge and what she's doing. She was in the room. She just said, I'm so sick of this, and like just yelling at the God King, hurry up and just take me already. And then just staring at him, talking with Lightsong and just getting annoyed, being like, I'm so sick of everything. I just liked her being fed up and trying to take control. The first, 10 chapters of the book, it's no control for her. She's just being tossed one place to another, situation to situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess an honorable mention character would be Denth, just to piss off Sheta.
Ugh. Oh no, I feel bad.
How could you, Sheta? Poor Denth and all his many, many fans.
I'm sure he's got.
You know how many
a good
people just
number.
quit the podcast in disgust when you said that?
I know.
Sheta?
Please don't quit. You gotta wait for him to die and for me to remorse my words. Like, just
And
regret.
now she's wishing for his death.
Or he'll die and she'll be dancing on his grave.
And be like, finally. Just kidding.
Sheta, I'll tell you, in comparison to other podcasts where people don't like a character, that's a pretty mild take.
Yeah, and I don't hate him. I just don't love it. Love his thing. That's all. And maybe I'll
Don't worry.
change my mind.
There's time to grow to hate him, Sheta.
Yeah. Him and his little friend I don't like. Sorry.
Yeah, my honorable mention is his little friend.
Oh my
Tom
gosh.
Just to piss off Sheta. These little I don't know. It's these two kinds of characters are a trope, but I don't know what the trope name is. If you do, let me know so I can use it. The two guys who kind of like talk to each other casually, even though they're little criminal guys or guards or whatever.
Yeah. Look up like
Have,
cowboy tropes or something.
Cowboy tropes.
Western trope, like, you know what I hate? That. And then his little friend's like simple and he's like, yeah, diet like that, and he's like got an idiot wisdom. Like,
whatever you're talking about is not what I'm talking about.
oh, okay.
I'm talking about like the two guys in Pirates of the Caribbean or in like anything who just have these long conversations casually. Yeah, that's whole
what that
archetype.
is.
It
Okay.
like goes back to like Shakespeare times. It's an old one. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Whatever you're
Okay.
talking about, I have no idea.
Pirates of the Caribbean had two sets of those. You had it on
Yep.
pirate side and then the Navy side.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, okay. That's what that is.
All right, now let's go over to quotes.
I go first. I dibsed it
Okay.
because I worry Sheta will take mine.
Well, you likely, because I know you. Okay, go ahead.
This is the part where Lightsong chooses to bow down, even though he's questioning all this stuff. And he thinks, he knelt down on his cushion. The God King's superiority was arbitrary, much like Lightsong's divinity, both part of a grand game of make-believe. But he'd found that imaginary things were often the only items of real substance in people's lives. I thought it was interesting to get a little of Lightsong's philosophies and what he sees being a little god guy. And just the idea that I just always think it's funny when a bunch of made up stuff that's not based on anything is so valuable to people that they'll fight and die and do all kinds of crazy things for it, even more so than tangible real things.
Oh yeah,
or tangible real evidence even.
I mean, look at us. We're all nerds and we worship things like this more than real religion. Is that what you're saying?
No, real religion.
Oh.
Religion's an exact example of that kind of thing.
Oh.
I mean, like real things, like.
I see. I mean, sorry, yeah, not religion, but yeah. Instead of religion, you could also worship anime or something. Is what I'm trying to say. I just thought it was a commentary on fictional things as well, because it's in your brain.
It can be taken that way, but since it was applied to religion specifically in this context, I thought that that's what they're referencing. But yes, anime has replaced religion for many people. I think that is true.
Our Lord and Savior, God Usopp.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I will lead you.
Follow me. Okay.
Read One Piece if
Okay.
you want to understand that reference.
All right. I'll do my quote. This is when Lightsong is complaining about the rain. And then Larimar goes, "The people need water to drink, Your Grace." Larimar said, "The streets need to be washed clean. And what of the plants in the city? The beautiful trees, even this grass that you enjoy walking across, would die if the rain did not fall." "Well," Lightsong said, "I could just will them to continue living." "That is what you do, Your Grace," Larimar said. "Your soul knows that rain is best for the city, and so it rains, despite what your consciousness thinks." Lightsong frowned. "By that argument, you could claim that anyone was a god, Larimar." But I thought that this is the kind of logic that people who are religious kind of have, and that he's just really good at it. I like.
Larimar?
hmm He just like that makes sense. Like this is how he thinks, so that like he's like everything has a purpose and a reason, and
Mm-hmm.
why things are the way they are, so that my belief is just 100% true, no matter what you say or what reality says and stuff like that. Like it's
I
kind of
I
clever, and I
always
like it.
mm-hmm. Yeah, characters with that kind of faith are always really interesting because you can throw all the logic at them you want, and they're above it. The logic doesn't matter,
Mhm.
because if their faith could be shaken by some stupid logic, it wouldn't be very good faith.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Or what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's why I voted for him.
All right, we all know you have the best vote.
I don't think so. I picked a minor character at best.
All right. Well, at least Larimar's a named character, unlike Mistwraith.
Hey, Mistwraith wound up being really important by the end. That was a great pick.
Or the main character in disguise, Kalu.
Kalu was the best character in the book.
All right. So my quote, I went with the part where Siri's picking her dress to wear. All right. She paused. "Could I try them all on?" The serving women glanced at each other, a little confused. They nodded toward her, their expressions conveying a simple message. "Of course you can." Siri felt foolish, but in Idris she'd never had a choice before. She smiled, standing and letting them take off her robe and then dress her in the first of the gowns, careful not to mess up her hair. Siri inspected herself, noting that the neckline was rather low. She was willing to splurge on color, but the amount of flesh Hallandrin showed still felt scandalous. She nodded, letting them take off the gown, then they dressed her in the next one, a two-piece garment with a separate corset. Once they were finished, Siri eyed this new outfit in the mirror. She liked it, but she wanted to try the others as well. So after spinning around and inspecting the back, she nodded and moved on. It was frivolous. Well, why was she so worried about being frivolous? Her father wasn't around to regard her with that stern, disapproving face of his. Vivenna was an entire kingdom away. Siri was queen of of the Hallandrin people. Shouldn't she try to learn their ways? She smiled at the ridiculous justification, but went on to the next gown anyways. As I said, when I picked Siri for my character, I like it because it's kind of her like taking charge and realizing that, yeah, this is Hallandrin. She's the queen of Hallandrin. She might as well do what the people there do.
I think it's
I like that. Oh,
to the showing skin thing so much. I think it's really interesting because she has been buttoned up her whole life, but her internal side probably would want to be a little more flamboyant.
yeah. I was gonna say that embracing or the new culture season is actually just embracing herself and her things that
Mhm.
she's kept locked up. So I like that.
I'd like to
That's
see
a
if
good
her father
princess
ever saw
story.
how he was dressed, how horrified he'd be.
I cannot look at you. I
Put
can
some
see your
clothes on,
collarbone.
girl. Yeah. More than collarbone. That's the other thing. Usually in fantasy stories, it is that. It's like, oh, they showed an ankle, not fantasy, but like repressed society stuff. But in this one, it's neckline down to the belly button, mini skirts, like everything showing. I think
We're
that's such
lucky
a
this isn't the
drastic change. What's that?
so that we're lucky it's not the one boob dress like fashion,
Yeah, but that's just ugly.
Like yeah, if one breast exposed, that's the fashion.
I think it'd be funny in a show to do this because we were talking about before how the colors in the first city would be all muted and then it would be all crazy here. It'd be really funny in a show to see the fashion too, how different it would be. Especially with her going there, buttoned up to the neck,
Yeah. Oh, this book would just be fun to see with my eyes like that.
Yeah.
All the stuff with the colors and things. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, like, because I picture like all the dresses that we're seeing in Hallandrin are probably pretty similar to our modern day styles. So it's like if you just go to like
Really?
yeah, because it's showing, you know, a little bit lower cut, showing a little bit of leg. It's nothing ridiculous. So it's like if you go to like a ball or something here, like a party where people are wearing women are wearing dresses, I figured it'd be like that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I interpret it too. Where like people walking around like that normally would be a bit weird, but yeah, what you said, the balls and stuff, I think that's a good example.
So like if we saw the dresses they
Or
were
like a
wearing, it
Hollywood
would
premiere or something.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
So like for us, we wouldn't bat an eyelash because that's just the normal, that's the style. But for somebody coming from a society where they're not showing that, and also I think a big thing too that goes into that is she's coming from the mountains where it's colder down to pretty much a jungle area, so most likely doesn't want to wear everything covered.
Oh, Vivenna still is.
Venna's a good girl. So.
He's got like 5 layers on it, sounds like.
All right. So now, we're going to go. I do have one email we'll go over. So this was an email, same person, Alan. In his email, he had given us those questions at the beginning.
Yep.
There was also other stuff in the email that I'll go over. All right, so I'm officially caught up on the pod. Been loving hearing Justin and Sheta going through the Cosmere. It's super interesting hearing first-timers going through the books. I myself just finished all the published novels and short stories in the Cosmere a couple months ago.
Wow.
Oh, geez.
I'm greatly looking forward to hearing you go through Warbreaker and can't wait to hear Sheta's many, many ships. I'm sure are going to be off the wall, as well as Justin's opinions on certain mercenaries in the book.
Mm.
I think Sheta would also have a heyday with Tress and Yumi and the Nightmare Painter.
I don't know what that is.
Those are future books we'll get to eventually.
Oh, I
Ooh,
thought those were characters.
Oh, no.
I thought there was a character named Tress and a character named the Nightmare Painter in this book who had like the most breaths ever. I was like, Jesus,
awesome.
that's going to be freaky.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Tress of the Emerald Sea, and another book is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter.
That sounds like an anime or something.
That one actually is very inspired by
Miyazaki?
some anime and manga.
Because that was my
Ooh,
guess
okay.
with that title.
Nope. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, there's 3 things specifically he says that he has taken reference in. One's an anime movie, one is a Final Fantasy game, and one is a manga.
Wow, what a nerd.
You're just realizing that, Sheta. The guy made a career writing fantasy books. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I would be disappointed if I met the guy who wrote a bunch of fantasy books and he was like some guyish jock,
I'm just teasing. I love him.
All right, so continuing the email. I'm not sure if you heard it from anybody else, but I do have a good time trying to guess y'all's answers to various get-to-know-us questions you do at the beginning of each episode. Right.
I like the idea of trying to guess based on what you learn about us from these. That's hilarious.
One of the comments you read previous talked about the Cosmere RPG. Just for a little more context, as a fellow Cosmere enjoyer and tabletop RPG player, the Stormlight book setting, Monster Manual campaign book are set to be released late in the summer, with Mistborn scheduled to come out in 2026. I'd urge you all to get on board, but I think there are spoilers to the novels in the RPG books, so it might be better to hold off until you all read up to there.
That would be fun, though.
Ooh, yeah.
The thing is that our D&D group, it's only the 3 of us who have read Cosmere. They haven't.
Well, better get them on board.
That'll just give us an advantage over them.
All right. I feel compelled to give my own ranking for the ships you guys went through just to combat the insanity of Sheta's list.
Oh, God, Sheta, no.
Well, we did because we did our rankings. I told people, hey, send us a ranking if you made them, and he did. All right, so we'll do his ranking. 13, Strath Amaranta. I don't really count this one because there's no ship here there. Yeah. That's why I put it on there. It was meant to be the bottom and a joke.
That was your mistake.
Number 12, Vin Kelsier. She's his daughter. 11, Rathan and Serini. I agree with you for sure. Absolutely not necessary.
No, I love it. I'm glad it was included.
Number
It's
10.
canon. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, it is.
Yeah, no, I just rubbed it in your face. That's all.
Well,
Oh,
it
I
was
see.
canon that he had feelings for her.
Yeah.
She had none of those feelings for him.
Yeah, that's all I needed.
Number 10, Tensoon and Milan. Number 9, Vin and Spook. Pretty clear this was one-sided. Number 8, Shan and Ellen. She just wanted him for his family name. I will admit, that is very likely true. That is what we were told in the story. But we were also told that in Ellen's point of view, not hers. Maybe she did have feelings for him.
Yeah, I don't know if she has feelings.
Yes, I'm being a little bit of a Shan apologist. Number 7, Vin and Zane. Not a huge love triangle guy, but I feel like it was obvious Vin wouldn't end up with Zane.
It's the point of a love triangle sometimes. It's just for the drama.
I will say sometimes I dislike love triangles. Other times I do enjoy them. But then I get pissed if my pick doesn't win. Or I get really pissed if a story has a love triangle and neither of the options get chosen. Then I just feel like it was a waste.
What? Yeah, no, that's no.
Number 6, Spook and Beldre. Now we're getting to the actual relationships. I rank this lowest because it starts out in a really uncomfortable way, a little too stalkery for me.
I'll say that I lost interest when it stopped being stalkery. I was like, oh, now they're just gonna get to know each other.
Oh, this is healthy now.
Yeah.
Number 5, Shoot and Tarina. This was close to being 6 instead of Spook Beldre, but this relationship felt more natural to me. Number 4, Breeze Ulrianne. While I think these two are great together, they never really stood out above the other 3. Number 3, Sazed Tindwyl. These characters feel like they're designed to be together, where what one sees as a flaw in themselves is actually something the other is basically looking for. I wish we had more time with them together, but like Sazed, our time with Tindwyl is cut short. Number 2, Vin Ellen. We don't get to see them be a couple and do a couple things very long, but when they do, they are amazing. Like the Ball and Hero of Ages when they dance, or the way they just know what the other is thinking. Made for each other.
Last pick for me. I'm sorry. That was your number 1?
That's their number 2.
Number 2, okay, sorry.
Number 1, Raoud and Serini. I think Joe said it best. She fell in love with him twice without knowing he was the same guy. That's another level.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Didn't think I'd be saying this when I started listening, but excited to see how the list of ships develop as y'all keep going through the books.
Yeah, this book has so many characters, so many dateable characters as well. So we'll see. Dateable. Like
I'm just glad we have some more common sense around here now.
Huh?
Mine was weird at some points, but it was mostly normal-ish. All right. And then another question they have is, how do you all know each other? Are you just buds from the same D&D group? Well, I'll say that we all went to high school together.
Yeah, we know each other from those times.
Yeah, from that,
Yeah.
and then after that, we do play D&D. It was actually a group that I was in first, and then I brought Justin in, and then we brought Sheta in when we got room.
No, Sheta was in
myself
another group with them. Totally different group, and then the groups
you're
merged
right.
is what it is.
Yep, that's what it was. I was in the...
I'm the one who was brought into both groups. I had nothing to do with any of this.
Yep, that's what it was. I forgot about that. Yeah, I was in one group, and then there was a new game started, and I was in that one. I brought Justin to that one. And there was a different game started that Sheta went in, and then, yeah, pretty much we do 2 games, like, almost every week with different DMs in them. Sorry that this is kind of a jumbled mess. I've been listening for the last couple months, but didn't really want to comment or email until I was caught up, so it got a little stockpiled until now. Again, having a great time listening to the pod, and I'm excited to see how Justin and Sheta like Warbreaker. Thanks for keeping my workdays entertaining, Alan.
Oh, thanks for writing in. That was really fun.
Yep.
I hope that
Warbreaker
Warbreaker has been as interesting for you with all the crazy talk that we've had so far.
Nope, this was where it was a step too far. It's over. We ruined it.
Yeah, possibly.
Oh, we're cutting that stuff out, though, right?
Some stuff's been cut, some stuff I keep. All right, so that's the email. For next week, we will be reading chapter 17 through 21. 17 through 21. And now it's... And, one thing I noticed looking at the book, so I have the hardcover copy of the book. Now, I don't know if Justin's read the back of the book or not.
Nope.
The back of the hardcover, it's just a bunch of quotes from different people. But when I open it, no, from publications and stuff, reviews.
Yeah.
Now, when I open it, on like the inside slipcover, that's where it has the little description of, little summary, synopsis. And I noticed in that little synopsis, it has something written in there that literally is revealed on the final page of the book.
What? Why the hell would you do that?
I don't know. So I have no idea if the mass paperback just puts that synopsis on the back of the book, or if it has a different synopsis, or if it has the different quotes from publications on the back. But that is
I never read that stuff on something I'm already reading, but I'm glad I didn't see it at a store and read the back out of curiosity, because I would have seen that then.
Oh my gosh, I was this close to reading it today when I borrowed a book.
So I have no idea what the back of that book says, but maybe don't read it. It's something where if you read it, you won't think twice about it. It's like, all right, but then if you know, it's just like, why do they say that?
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird. But there is another book series that Brandon writes in the Cosmere, where the back of the book is written by a character in universe.
Oh, that's funny.
Is it Hoyd?
Don't answer
Don't
that.
tell me. Don't tell me.
All right, well, now it's time to do plugs.
Wait, I had one thing I wanted to say, that if you were listening to a previous one where I said that the book reminded me of a children's book that I read a long time ago, I remembered the book.
Was it this book you said that about?
Yeah, it was Warbreaker.
Okay.
Yeah, Warbreaker. It's a Lady Lovely Locks book, which, if you remember, is like, I think it's based off of a toy series too, but she has like rainbow hair, and then one of the books, a witch casts a spell on them, and their hair turns like less pink and it's blue and gray and stuff. That's what it was.
I'm looking it up. I've never heard of this book before, and it looks like it had a cartoon show and a toy line.
Yeah, that was such a memory I had to dig up. So the Warbreaker reminded me of it.
Lady Lovely Locks and the Pixie Tales.
Yeah, I can see it, Sheta. I can see it.
Now I have to do a crossover with these two.
Mm-hmm. Well, the more you know.
All right, now let's do the plugs.
Well, if you're a fan of Lady Lovelocks, you very likely will not like my work that much, that you can go see on Instagram, DeviantArt, and, places where people do media, but in a social way. Oh, at Profanity Beaver.
Oh. Well, if you do like Lady Lovely Locks, my art's kind of like it. You can follow my Instagram, Sheta_low, where I post art sometimes. And then my other Instagram, where I post pictures of myself doing stuff, at Mermaid Machete.
Stuff, you say?
Yeah, stuff.
That sounded ominous.
Going to the store, going to a convention, playing D&D, that kind of stuff.
All right, and then for just Cosmere Chronicle stuff, we have the if you want to send us an email, cosmerechronicles@gmail.com. If you're at different places, leave a review, leave a like, all that same jazz, leave comments. We'll try to read them on air if we know where to find them. All right. If you use different social medias, you can follow us on Key, a most ancient letter, formerly known as Twitter, Cosmerecron, CosmereChron. You can follow us on Blue Sky, Cosmere Chronicles on there. I did a couple weeks ago just make an Instagram, Cosmere Chronicles Podcast, but I have no idea what the hell I'm going to post on there. I'm not an art person. So I might just use that just to post our, the covers and the people we choose for the fan castings. That way people can follow along. Because I'm not a meme person, so I'm not.
Yeah, I was saying, Joe, find some Cosmere memes to post on there.
I'm not a meme person, so I'm not going to be able to find those.
I'll send you some. Don't worry.
I'm not a social media person. It's like I do the bare minimum.
I'm only one out of necessity.
But hey, if you're a person that wants to make Cosmere Chronicles fan art, you can do that and tag us. I know that somebody made fan art and tagged Sheta in one of her, yeah, she had shown me. They made fan art of our logo.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they did. Oh, yeah, that was you, Justin. That was from our guy, right?
No, this was some random person you had shown me, did fan art.
Oh, yeah, I remember. I did see that. Yeah. I remember now.
We should post that on there. That's pretty cool.
All right. So all that, and and so everyone, be sure to come back next week, chapters 17 through 21, and over this next week, enjoy yourselves, eat some White Castle. Maybe
Joe, I have to say, we got some White Castle recently. It was fucking terrible. It was some of the worst White Castle we've ever had. So I don't know if I can, in good conscience, promote White Castle this week since they fucked us over.
They forgot our drinks.
Yeah, they didn't give us our drinks, and everything tasted like it was incredibly old and bad.
Cut this, Justin. This is so mean, though. I don't want to say that.
Hey, I'm not promoting White Castle when they did not give a good order.
Hey, I still think the worst fast food experience I had was one day I was driving to work. I stop at a McDonald's on the way to work, pick up just 2 cheeseburgers and a drink. Let's go driving, grab one of the cheeseburgers, bite into it. There was no hamburger patty. It was just bun, ketchup, cheese, pickle. That's what I had.
Ugh, God.
They forgot the hamburger patty.
Oh, no.
I didn't say this White Castle is the worst fast food experience I've ever had, but it was pretty close.
All right, fine. We will scratch that White Castle for this week. We're not really being paid by them anyways. So,
if not by not really, you mean not at all.
No, we're not.
Hey, all we need is back pay for all the times we promoted them, Sheta.
They will. Yes, because that's a thing.
Yeah.
So instead, everyone, go out and maybe go to your local grocery store and buy a salad.
Yeah, a salad. That's very exciting.
Buy like a, you know what? Just do what you want. All right, everyone, go out there, have a cowboy good time. Jangle.
Yep. Cowboy good time.
Bye.
Okay, bye.